Fortunately for me, I'm not necessarily the bag person. I don't have a
I'm not either. This is my second one, and I bought both of them this year. Like what? Like I waited till my 30th year to be like, let me ball out on myself.
I was on Instagram, and you have quite the extensive shoe collection.
Okay. And half of those I got for free, so that's that.
So I mean, if I'm talking to people and women specifically, what I used to hate hearing is, "Oh, I'm just gonna wait till I like find a guy and we're gonna get engaged and then we're gonna buy a house."
Oh my god.
Okay, and that may happen tomorrow, and that may happen in 10 years from now. But what are you doing for yourself? Like you need to build yourself up.
We're back.
Welcome to Millennials to Millionaires. I'm Alicia Ace West.
I'm Daniel Kingsold.
Yes, and we've got a special guest in the place, Priscilla Facey, who is in real estate development with M5V Developments.
Absolutely.
Hey, girl, hey.
We got girl power in here today. That's why I wore my flower t-shirt. We're here. We're here with love. What's popping?
He wore a flower t-shirt because we're women.
Yeah, of course.
Why okay.
You wanted to keep the topic light. I'll try my best.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, Daniel. Today we're going to be speaking about women in real estate. It's a male-dominated industry like most industries are. I don't know why, because we are very capable as women. And to be honest, I think that we get the job done better.
Honestly, I think women are naturally born to multitask. There's a million balls in the air, so to speak. And we're doing it well. We're doing it well.
Yeah. So let's talk about your story. Like, you've been in the game for how long now? Like, what made you get into it?
Yeah. It's an interesting one. I got a lot of ad-libs. I'm going to keep it narrow and focused here and keep it entertaining. Where I began, I think from a young age, I've just naturally been a hustler, so to speak. I was always had something little going on the side, even when I was in high school, working part-time, whatnot. And actually, when I was in university, I had a part-time gig working at MAC Cosmetics. All the women know what MAC is. Makeup store based out of Toronto. And as an employee, I was able to get access to the big warehouse sales where I could buy these almost $20 lipsticks for $1.
Yeah.
So I'd literally go in there, pack up a ton of stuff, a lot of merchandise and makeup. And I would take that. I had a close friend who was an exotic dancer.
Hey.
And she was always looking for a deal. And she hooked me up with her entire network. And I went into her adult entertainment nightclub. And I literally had my gigantic treasure chest makeup case. It was like an accordion. And I'd go into the change room. And the girls would just start rolling in. Oh my God, Matt girl is here. She's here. Okay, does she have this color? Does she have that color? And I was literally I was taking $1 items. I was selling them for 10. They were saving money because these were almost half price for them.
Yeah.
And honestly, I learned so much from that change room.
Yeah.
What I learned is there is no bigger hustler than a stripper.
Period.
To be quite frank.
I don't know why people stay dissing the strippers. Like, they really are about their money and they really know how to get to the bag.
There is so much strategic focus.
Absolutely.
It is sales, and it is sales connected with psychology. And that, like anything, like Instagram today is all about psychology. It's likes, it's shares, it's, not wanting to feel rejected. It's wanting to be loved. And they literally go in, they've got their eye on the prize, they focus, they get what they need. But then the other part that I saw was they would come back into the change room and they would say, okay, I just made my $200. I want this. So it was like,
they would also
easy come,
easy go. Yeah.
And so that's where I really got a lot of insight. I made friends with some of these girls. I did, private events at their house selling makeup. Like, it was a whole real big network for me. And that's when I really started seeing, okay, you've got women who can acquire, they've got their technique, they've got their strategy, but real ascension is going to come in what you do with that money.
Yeah.
And here and there, I would see them, buying houses, setting themselves up financially. But for the most part, it was a lot of materialism.
Yeah.
And so, 10 years later, what do you have to show for all that hard work and all that money you made? And so I, at that point, stopped doing that little side gig. And then I actually got a job with the government. I was working in the call center for Canada Pension Plan for several years. And then I moved into doing human rights work with the Ontario Human Rights Commission. And I was there working my 9 to 5, and it was okay. I was going through cases, and it was a mid-level position, so the income was pretty decent at that time. I think I was doing about $70,000. And then one day I was in my office and I got a phone call that a pipe had burst in my condo. I was downtown living at Village by the Grange by OCAD University. And the property manager literally said, Priscilla, I hope you have insurance because you got some damage and the unit below you's got a leak, so come home now. So I went home. Long story short, the insurance paid me out $12,000. And that was a lot of money for me to get at one time at that particular point in my life. So I was like, whoa.
What were you thinking when you got that money?
No, I was like, I'm going to redecorate the condo. Like, I'm going to, I'm going to go get new appliances. I'm going to change my vinyl countertops to quartz. You know, that was the new thing back then. And so I called up a friend of mine. I'm like, look, I need a contractor who's going to give me a good price and I got to fix the floors. And she's like, oh, actually, I've got someone, he does a lot of flips, you know, he's in real estate, let him come check out your place and we'll see what we can do. Cool. So he shows up and he's like, okay, fix your floors, but better than that, why don't you take the rest of the money and invest in this development? I'm working with a developer in a neighborhood called Queen West, which I didn't know at that time where that was, and get you some investment property. And I knew, because I was already a homeowner. I knew the value in owning real estate. My first house, when I sold it, I made $50,000. I paid off my student loan. I got out of debt. Beautiful. So I understood the power and how lucrative owning real estate could be. But I just didn't really think about it as from an investment perspective. So I was like, cool. So now I'm going to become a real estate investor. So I got one investment property. I told a bunch of my friends about it. They literally I think I sold 8 units for him. Oh, wow. And he just showed up with the agreements. Yeah. And so I helped him pick their floor plan, and he was like, you know what? You're really into this. I think you should leave the government and get into real estate. And that's what I did.
That must have been really hard to take that leap of faith, because I know when I had my job, I wasn't working at the government. It was a regular truck driving job.
But not too hard to leave.
No, but you know what's hard enough? It was still very hard. I worked there for 3 years, and after the first year, I knew that it wasn't long term. But it took me 2 years to take that leap, because you go from getting that paycheck, you have friends, family that may depend on you, and that comfortability of getting a paycheck every 2 weeks, knowing that you have that. Leaving that, I'm not sure how much you were making at the time, if you want to share, but to go to something that's uncertain, where you could actually make $0 if you don't perform.
Yeah, I was making $70,000, which was decent for,
how long ago was
on
that?
their own. That was like, 11 years ago.
So that's probably like equivalent to what, like 130, 140 now?
Maybe like 110, 120.
Okay, fair enough. That's still six figures.
It was decent. And the leap of faith for me, though, was quite frankly, and like no shade to government workers, is just the pace is too slow. Like I was like a go-getter and I was just sitting there. I was selling real estate from my office for a little while, like doing deals, doing showings at lunchtime. Like I wanted something that was faster paced. Yeah. I wanted something more than anything else to be able to control my income and to control where my ceiling was, if there was a ceiling at all. And when you're working in government or any 9 to 5, someone else is determining your salary, determining your worth. Doesn't matter how hard you work, you're only going to be here, period. And so that for me was a leap of faith. And I had a lot of naysayers. My grandmother was worried about my pension, what's going to happen. And when you're
them old folks are always worried about that pension
because it's like this golden goose. It's like a dangling carrot. And in the government, that culture, they are all about the pension. It's this 80 factor, your age plus your years of service. When you get there, it's like a win. And then a lot of times people are not healthy. Yeah, they can't even enjoy retirement, and they've got a bunch of other worries and stuff. And you've been waiting for this, this golden goose. It's just not as exciting once you actually get there. Yeah. So. I knew that there was better things out there. I had faith. That's just me. I'm a little bit of a dreamer / wanderlust. I like traveling, so I needed something that gave me that flexibility. I was tired of going and asking for vacation. I've backpacked like 4 continents inside of 4 years. And I was like, I want to be able to decide when I can go, and I don't want to rely on someone else to tell me when I can punch the clock.
So how did you block out all of that noise? Because I'm sure you had coworkers, friends, family telling you that you're crazy. You're like, people dream of getting a government job, and you're about to.
They really do. That's crazy.
No, for real. That is like the pinnacle, of all 9 to 5s. So like, how'd you block out all that outside noise to say, you know what? Forget what everyone else is saying. I'm going to do this. I'm going to get my bag. I'm going to do real estate. Like, how hard was it for you to take that jump?
Me and my personality, it wasn't that difficult. I like kind of going against the grain. I like when people tell me
you can't do something,
and then I show them otherwise. And I quite frankly knew that I had a lot more years behind me of that hustle and that drive and always doing something on the side that a lot of my friends who just sat at desks all day just didn't have it in them.
Yeah.
And it was strategic. You know, I started off with, I think it was a 1-year leave of absence, and then I resigned. So they kind of, and that is one of the beauties of government jobs, is it is almost impossible to get fired. I could have not shown up for a year. I worked in HR. I understood what it took to get fired, and it is like a 1% chance. We tried firing people. They don't want to let anybody go.
Yeah.
So that for me was not that difficult because of my personality, and I did have a little bit of that, you know, I don't want to fully let go. But the truth is, it's when I actually did hand in my resignation, it was like a really proud moment for me. I sat there with my manager, and she was like, you know what, I wish you all the best, and I can see this is going to go well for you. But I already had deals in the bag. Like I was still selling, you know, that the first few months before I even took my leave. And so I knew I already had commissions built up, and I was going to figure it out. And I think the best way to learn and to really is to take that risk, and you need to just jump in the water, period. And you're going to know how to swim when you get there. Having, you know, a little life jacket or a little buoy you're just kind of floating on, like honestly, that's not the way, because you're always going to naturally rely on that. And you really need to just like cut the cord.
Jump in. A lot of people are just toe dipping, and they're no. You can't be on the fence. Like you got to just jump in the deep end.
And the thing with real estate is you have to, and real estate is pure hustle. It's hustling to get clients. I didn't have, you know, a tray of clients that were handed over to me. The clients I had were difficult situations. It was people with bad credit. It was people with just very little money. There was no bank of mom and dad. Like 90% of my clients didn't have any help in buying their first property. And so it really refined my skills and my creativity, because I had to really focus and figure out resources that could help these people. And, you know, I basically had a full menu. There was no reason you could give me that I couldn't sell you a property. I don't want to hear about no money.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear about bad credit. I always had a plan. Yeah.
And it probably made you feel even better than just, you know, calling people about their pensions when you're able to, you know, fulfill somebody's dream and make something happen from so little, right?
Yeah.
You're essentially making something happen from scratch.
From nothing. And I literally have clients where they had no money, and I have certain strategies that we get the money, take that money, they then put it down on pre-construction. And then in 2 years or 3 years when that property is built, now they own a home from literally nothing. I took one client from, he had a deposit of $15,000, and inside of 3 years, he came out with $250K on the other side.
Wow,
There's no job that he could live and save and bank and have that kind of money.
3 years.
With literally, honestly, the guy signed a couple of pieces of paper. Like really, I helped manage the tenant, you know, we got the whole thing going. And from there, that was his launch pad. And he has got like 3 properties now, so.
That's amazing.
No, it is amazing.
So talk to the millennials, especially the females out there that, you know, spend the money on the bags. And I know you just got your bag AC, you know, but, you know, and spending money in the club and all of that.
I'm going to use my bag. It's not going to sit there and collect dust now. I'm going to wear it every single day. You're going to see it in every single Instagram picture. That's for sure.
I've always been someone, I mean, fortunately for me, I'm not necessarily the bag person. I don't have
I'm not either. This is my second one, and I bought both of them this year. Like what? Like I waited till my 30th year to be like, let me ball out on myself.
I was on Instagram, and you have quite the extensive shoe collection.
Okay. And half of those I got for free. So that's that.
So I mean, if I'm talking to people, and women specifically, what I used to hate hearing is, oh, I'm just going to wait till I like find a guy and we're going to get engaged and then we're going to buy a house.
Oh my God.
Okay. And that may happen tomorrow, and that may happen in 10 years from now. But what are you doing for yourself? Like, you need to build yourself up. And this is in part why I've decided to start my own real estate development company. You know, after selling real estate for 10 years, I looked around at the people who had mentored me, and one of them said, you know what, we're going to start doing development. We're going to go down to Niagara Falls. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm coming along for the ride, because I know, and I'm someone who really understands and sees opportunity and seeks out places to really get those opportunities. And I was like, I know if I go down for the ride and something pops off here, I'm going to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And this is exactly what happened. And we went down to Niagara, and, you know, I got to see from the jump exactly what was happening. And then because I had a couple investment properties, there was a little bit of room for a small percentage ownership. And I was like, I'm doing it, you know? So I sold a condo, took that money, it was almost $200,000. And then I put down in the development company, you know, I'm a shareholder, et cetera. And we started doing the Niagara phase 1, working on phases 2, 3, 4. Who knows where this is going to end?
27.
27. And then another opportunity came along, and my mentor, Sherrard, he said to me, listen, I just got a deal on my desk. It's a little small, it's a smaller project. I'm not really interested, but this might be good for you to go, get your feet wet and do this from the jump. You take all the learnings of the last 2 years that we've done with the Niagara projects, start your own thing. And I'm like, okay, cool. Yes, I'm down. And so came up with some concepts, floor plans, the whole thing, registered a new development firm, Build Up Development Corp. And that's what we'll be doing. And so I'm planning to launch in a couple of weeks. Not sure when this is going to air, but maybe, knock on wood, I'll be sold out by then. So yeah, and what it really is, I mean, if I'm bringing this all full circle, is taking risks, seeking out opportunities, and being prepared.
And being able to have something for your own too.
Yeah, and that's the thing with women. I mean, I bought my first house, I was 23. I was living with my parents. It was like back then, $12,000 pre-construction. The same advice that I give, I've done every aspect of the real estate process. And I can't, I look forward to really educating other young women and men on the importance of spending money in ways that will
benefit you.
Yeah, and secure your financial future, because that's what this is all about. And I mean, if we're learning anything from COVID, you can't rely on a 9 to 5.
Yeah, definitely not. They're here one day and then gone the next day. But if you're able to, and even speaking on your story, at the end of the day, say you did take this leap and it didn't really work out the way that you wanted to, you already had that experience from working your regular 9 to 5 that you could have worked for so many other companies. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
And this is what people, that was the exact argument, that like, it's not like the job market is going to shrivel up. I have experience, I have years with the government, which government loves government experience. Yeah. And so there really is no chance. I mean, I see a risk in not pursuing opportunities, and that's just how I think. And I really want to encourage other people to really think the same way and really not have those fears. And understanding that real estate is within reach. Yeah. This is not some
unattainable.
And people think that, and when they go through it, it's like, oh, wait.
I think it's like we need to get past that. We actually need to start doing before we realize that it's not as hard, difficult, scary as what everybody thinks it is. It's perception again. Like perception's a big thing. And until we actually take that leap, then, we're all going to be shaking in our boots pretty much. Yeah. Let's talk about how you've been able to navigate this industry as a woman. Like, do you feel like being a woman has helped you, made it easier for you, or has it been something that's been a struggle?
I think for me, it's been an advantage. That's how I see it. Yeah. I was flipping houses for a little bit, maybe 5-6 years ago. I had a couple of different projects on the go, and I would walk in to a site that I own the house and I'm running the project, and it was an all male crew, contractors and whatnot. But I'd walk in and they would like literally hold my hand and ask me if I need help getting up the stairs. And I'm like, but why?
Okay. It's like, I'm good. Thanks.
Yeah.
Sir.
But I think, for the most part, it was just kind of endearing, I suppose. Even now meetings, I'm in meetings with architects, engineers, planners, etc. Usually I'm the only female in the room. I mean, I'm well-spoken, I'm intelligent, I know what I'm talking about. I defer to the experts on the team if I don't know anything. I personally don't see any real disadvantage. I think I present myself a certain way. That I think is important, but I haven't had many obstacles that I haven't been able to overcome. And quite honestly, your thoughts about something influence your behavior, and I really have worked hard on just getting rid of those perceptions, those belief systems that don't serve me well in what I'm doing.
Yeah, and I mean, shoot, as women, we have this little finesse game, and I feel like, we can finesse some people into maybe spending more.
I've been told the smile goes a long way.
Like, hey,
I've definitely
you want to add another $60K to your budget?
Priscilla's a great negotiator because she's like the silent killer. You don't see her coming.
Yeah, and then boom,
she gets everything under market.
No, man,
for sure.
Is that so?
Of course, that's what I hear at least.
But it's the smile. Is that it? Is that
that's what it is.
It's the female charm.
Yeah, you just gotta soften them up. Yeah.
For sure.
No, I definitely do have a lot of men that I work with who swear and then look at me and apologize. And I'm like, I swear like a trucker, like everybody else. Really, it's okay.
That's one thing that men need to stop doing is thinking that we're so soft, like that we can't handle stuff. Like we can handle giving birth to a baby. Can you?
Yes.
No, I can't.
Okay.
No, it's like it's the man cold.
Yeah, like having a baby is probably the hardest thing. I've never had one, but from what I've heard, it's the hardest thing ever.
Definitely
so
the
if we can do that, we can do anything.
Real talk.
So every episode, we ended off with a book. Did you bring a book for us?
I did bring a book, Gene Simmons, On Power. And for millennials who may not know who Gene Simmons is, he is a huge rock band, I'd say in the 80s, called Kiss. It was the guys in costumes and painted faces and long hair, and they wore high heels. And it was really very outlandish, but they were like, I think, one of the top selling rock bands at the time. And Gene Simmons, who was the lead of the group, this man came from Israel as a teenager, spoke no English, and literally created his persona. He believed in the American dream, that he could do anything. His name was Haim Witz. He became Gene Klein and then became Gene Simmons. And the point, a lot of the stuff in this book is, I created me, you can create you. You're not, whatever you're born into, whatever circumstance that is, it doesn't necessarily mean that's your lifelong destiny. There's certain things we can't change, race, where we came from, etc. But you can control now for the future. He talks a lot about power and really how power is villainized. Like you think about, 101 Dalmatians, kids cartoon, Cruella, there's always the rich and powerful that are evil. And he's like, no, I'm rich, I am powerful, and I give back. I was getting care packages back in Israel, of like various items that really helped make my life better. And now that I have money, I'm giving back. And that is the most important thing. People who want to give back should have more money. We should have more power. Why is this a bad thing? Why is there's always this association with, money, power, and evil? No. Yeah. And so that's something that I really took away from that is you want to have more money, more wealth, more stability, more power so that you can give back to that next generation.
I said in other episodes that like we have to retrain ourselves and rewrite these negative connotations that we have with money so that we can attract more money. Yeah. And I also just came across a quote. This doesn't necessarily have to be the quote of the day, but it ties back to what you said. You can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending. Yes. And that was by C.S. Lewis. So it just works perfectly. Like it doesn't dictate where you were, doesn't dictate where you can go.
Yeah, and you've got to do things really fearlessly and understand that there will be things you cannot change, but let's work with the things we can change and really move ahead. So
beautiful. I might add that to my book list too. I'm adding them all, and I'm gonna read all of them.
Yes, that's
a shade to you. Inside joke. All right. Do you want to finish with the quote of the episode? Or?
Sure. This is your quote, Priscilla. So do you remember it off the top?
I do. Okay. I do. It's one of my favorite authors. His name is Eckhart Tolle. And his.
Oh, I'm about to read that book too. The Power of Now.
Life changing and a new earth. Life changing. And there's a podcast on Oprah. Super sensitive. Whole thing. But yes, whatever you fight, you strengthen, and what you resist persists. And it's impacted my life in such a profound way because there are certain things, especially like as a teenager and growing up, and you're just like fighting it. It's like, no, let that go. Let's move on and make space for what's next, Yes. So I love Eckhart. Yes.
Love that.
Eckhart. Can't avoid the battles. You got to face them front on, right?
Yes.
10 toes down. That's what's up.
Yeah.
And that is our episode. Yeah. With our guest Priscilla. Thank you guys for listening to Millennials to Millionaires. I'm Alicia Ace West.
Daniel King Sold.
And Priscilla Facey.
Priscilla Facey.